In the name of God, most gracious, most compassionate, we begin. I think when you see these kind of flattened war zone images and reporting, it's really hard to conceive of the fact that people were living relatively peaceful lives and to understand that their lives were really similar to ours. And I think that's kind of what, through the flashbacks, I'm trying to evoke a sense of here are a bunch of generous people who, some of them are nice, some of them are not so nice, but they're all just trying to get along in life. And history repeats itself with an offer I can't resist. A handsome man who speaks of far-off lands and adventures, two things I can't resist. In terms of performing it every night, it's really not cathartic because the act of actually enacting all those things is actually, there have been nights where it's almost kind of felt traumatic and felt like I was absolutely reliving every moment of the kind of heartbreak and the disappointment and the frustration of feeling like I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. This irresistible offer to go back to the oceans and the desert, the forest of the Middle East, to return, to fulfill Wahid's wishes. And there was some anxiety about getting up on stage and using this second protagonist, this Abu Ahmed, who's the taxi driver. And I think it's really nice when people respond warmly to him. She is like a little bird who has been knocked to the ground. But I am telling her, not to worry. Because although this is a sad story, it does not have an ending, yet. The strength of the piece is that here's the person you identify most with, being me as a foreigner in a Middle Eastern country, and then finding that it's also really easy to relate to this guy who's the Middle Easterner, a foreigner in our country. Syria, it's same like Australia, have ocean, desert and forest. Syria, same like Australia, have ancient people. Strong people, long history, many invader, much blood, much killing. Syria is having many Kurdish people. The Kurdish people, they are, how do you say, they are like the little bird. They always fly from a tree to the tree, looking for a place for calling their home, but always being knocked to the ground. What I'd meant to do was paint a kind of general picture about what it's like to be a single female traveller, and I didn't want to touch any of the relationship stuff. I didn't really want to talk about old boyfriends, but then it was kind of inescapable. I kind of had to set up why I was there in the first place, and I kind of toyed with the idea of trying to fictionalise it more. And I just can't write from that place. I can't write unless I'm being deeply personal, and I think I can't expect an audience to be moved by something that's completely fabricated. I travelled halfway across the world for love, and I found only fighting. I knew that I was caught in the middle of something, this cycle of history, the people around me having suffered under dictators for too long. Although they smiled, I could see that their fists were clenched and ready for a fight. If I was to return again for love, would I just end up with my fists clenched, ready for another fight? I'm really glad that what I've got is this thing that at any moment I could kind of pull out of a suitcase and become this character who takes you from wherever you are, whether it's Perth or Melbourne or Albury-Wodonga, just to kind of give people wherever they are a sense of what it is like to be another person as a foreigner. I find that history repeats itself just in my short lifetime with my romantic relationships, and history does repeat itself. And whether this is something that's about Syria now or whether this becomes allegorical and whether it has relevance for whatever the next place is that is unfortunately plagued by dictators and by wars and by a kind of misunderstanding in the same way that Syria is now. I think it's a kind of piece that in some way will always be relevant, even though it's so firmly rooted in September 2012.